Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining PCM for the webinar Office 2013 or Office 365, which is right for you. My name is Jamie, and I'll be your host and moderator for today. I just wanted to cover a few quick housekeeping issues. First off, we'll be recording this presentation, and we'll be sending out on an on-demand version to everyone. So if you have to drop off the call for any reason, you will be able to listen to the rest of the presentation. Second, at the end of today's presentation, we'll be conducting a live question and answer session. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, just please use the Q&A or chat pane that can be found on the right-hand side of your screen. You can send the questions straight to me, and they'll be addressed during the Q&A session. And now I would like to introduce to you our presenter, Mr. Alan Goldberg. Alan, would you like to say something about yourself before we officially start on the presentation?
Sure, Jamie, and thanks so much for inviting me. I provide for Microsoft a variety of services. This is one of them, but I wanted you to know that a lot of my background is the same background as the people who are listening. I'm also a professional project manager and have already done quite a few migrations from, if you will allow me to call it, previous versions of Office to the new Office while integrating Windows 8 and the new Server 2012. So the examples, Jamie, that I'm going to bring to this presentation are not academic or, if you will, fantasy examples. There's going to be live examples. So that way people can look at the new Office and say, I understand the choices and what paths I have to take, and in fact, even, if you will, create some questions on how to go about selecting the best Office for them. So that's sort of what I do.
All right. Thank you, Alan. We'll now be moving on to our live question, and I'm sorry, we are now moving on with the live presentation.
Good. Well, everybody, the way we work has changed, and I appreciate you all listening, but it is really true. In the last few years, because we have learned that XP as an operating system, the operating system of the decade, if you will, has announced a firm end of support date, which is April 8th, 2014. Office 2003 has done the same. So what's happened is there has been changes in how we use and work, use our hardware, use our software, and how we work. Up to now, most all of us have worked on one of two form factors. We've worked, and that's a fancy way, of course, of calling hardware a form factor, but the expression is growing more and more. And the reason why is because with the new version of Windows coming out and new versions of Office, there are over 35 new versions of hardware that will run Windows 8. They also have Office 2013 either installed or available. And when you think about how we work today, the one word which is key more and more is the word mobility. We are changing because of a lot of trends. One is the number of Wi-Fi networks, and the other is the way we run our hardware. Now, when you look at these numbers, one of the things that stands out in my mind is when new smartphones or phones changed to smartphones, we began to use a touch screen. As we did that, and if you look at the numbers, they're overwhelming. We're talking about converting from candy bar phones and flip phones to touchscreen phones. And whether that be a Windows phone, an iPhone, or one of the variety of Droids, all of us are using touch more and more and more. At the same time, with the growth of Wi-Fi networks and social networking, you suddenly have a different way to work. In fact, a lot of companies who I work with have dropped their advertising budgets to concentrate on using social networking to spread their message and their mission. Now combine those trends with what's happening in cloud, and you can see, and of course, for those of you that have heard the expression cloud for a while and wonder, is that just a really sexy term for a marketing term for using somebody else's data center. The fact is, it's true, it is. And we've been using cloud or data centers for a while, but there's some advantages for business to use cloud services. And it looks more and more like small business, mid-market business, and large business enterprises of all sizes are looking to cloud services to engage and provide their software and different kinds of portals for them to work more effectively. Now, Microsoft took a look at all this and said, with all the different devices we have and all the different types of ways we work and all the different needs we have, how do we go about providing the best in breed? And I want to note something for everybody here. Over the years, I've given thousands of webcasts for a variety of companies, and the expression best in breed has been used many times to mean the cheapest solution possible. I don't mean that here. I don't mean the cheapest solution. When you look at the services that businesses are looking at, messaging, voice over IP, content management, when you look at all this, one of the things that Microsoft is reaching for is to create and provide a solution for business so that they can fit it to what their needs and functions really are. This is not a case of one size fits all. There's a lot of customization that is available. Now, when you look at the new Office and you think to yourself, what are the four categories? One are the changes in devices. Just 7 years ago, we had never heard the word pad before. Now we have. And there's a variety of pads. Not all of them are designed for business. For instance, in my family, and I have an iPad, but it's not a business pad. It is used for a variety of activities. It's not designed to use in business. Consequently, when you start looking at other pads and thinking about those pads in the context of Office, you come to a conclusion that if you're going to use tablets or pads in an office situation, and I mean a business office situation, you have to look for a certain type of profile. When you talk about cloud, a lot of people today go into their office only one time, or maybe not ever, so that you've got Office being on demand and you have to roam using it. And there's an awful lot of consideration that goes into that. You have security consideration, you have the use of apps and what apps are available and what apps should an IT director make available. And then when you combine that with encryption needs and proprietary needs, it isn't a simple, as I said, one size fits all. Then combine it with social, and you start thinking about all the news feeds and the social networking that is available. And you suddenly say, how do we tie all this together with the last category that I mentioned, and that is the loss of data, the handling of data in a secure way, and still getting the experience as a user that makes your work effective and efficient. Because in the final analysis, the worst thing that any company could do would be provide hardware and software taking over or replacing, if you will, the way that you used to work and make it harder on you to get your job done. When you look at the new Office, you've got a couple of different ways you can go from the smarter apps and, of course, cloud connected and optimized for touch in the Windows 8 devices. But you've also got some things that have been optimized to help you get the job done. Now, for me, because I'm on the go all the time, one of the most difficult things to do is to consistently be able to be on an internet connection when I am moving through all the different cities around the country. And yet, there are 9 times more Wi-Fis today than just 7 years ago. So when you think about Office 2013 and think about what it offers you, you suddenly say, well, I never realized that I could get Office from cloud, or if you will, from a specific portal, and not have it installed on my laptop. For us, for those of us that are in the mobile world and we are not tethered to our desktops, we still get all of the things that we need from Office in addition to being able to use touch or mouse or keyboard, but at the same time, maybe on a device that is light and easy to carry. A device that might have a 7-hour, 8-hour, 9-hour battery life that weighs less than 3 pounds, but gives me the same interface that I'm used to seeing in Office. Now, the nice thing about this is that when you explore Office 2013 and the two versions, the two categories would be one from a cloud source or Office 365 embedded, and one from a software that is installed on your laptop or desktop, they look identical. If you looked at them side by side, from those two interfaces, you couldn't tell the difference. And that's one of the big features for Office 2013. You can get a cloud version which gives you Office with the same rich characteristics that you would get if you installed it on your laptop or desktop. In addition, they have optimized it for the Windows 8 migration path. And what that means to everybody is this. You can use it with your finger mouse. You are able to move things around on a tablet or pad, unlike previous versions of Office, because, of course, it was being controlled by a keyboard or a mouse. Can you write on it? Yes, you have the ability to write and notate. And the thing about it is that you can treat your pad or tablet much the way that you are treating your smartphone, because you are controlling navigation with your smartphone using your fingers. Example would be you could pinch or zoom, but the nice thing about that is that that learning curve is very short and very easy for people who have been on smartphones. In addition, you've got other things embedded in the Office suite that if you haven't taken advantage of, one of my favorites to talk about is something called OneNote. Now, if you haven't been using OneNote and you haven't been using some of the embeds that they've got, OneNote gives you a chance to control all different portions of your business. In addition to taking notes, it can convert, as an example, handwriting that you've taken to text, and it gives you a capability that up to now, maybe you've used the product Word, the software Word, and forced it to work for you. OneNote is a product that I've been using since early 2002, and for me, it is the glue that holds my business together. What's also nice is that the features that come in the Word product are also available in Office 365 offering Office 2013. In other words, it's not a slimmed down version. You've got all the templates. You've got the ability to save to SkyDrive or SkyDrive Pro. It is going to give you the same rich experience, whether you get it from the cloud through a subscription service or whether you buy it and load it onto your laptop or desktop. For me, one of the reasons why I love to take advantage of the cloud offering is because, one, there are certain products in the Office suite I don't use as much as others. Like I use OneNote and Excel and PowerPoint a lot more than I use Word, and I can use those from the cloud offering. Whereas if you're a heavy Word user or a heavy Excel user and don't want to save your documents to a cloud situation, you have the ability to install it on your laptop or desktop, or even your tablet if it has a large enough solid-state hard drive, and use it that way so that you get the best of both worlds. For most companies, they have to do some analysis on who is using what and what the functions of their job are, because as we approach the end of support for XP and for Office, by the way, there are 440 million registered XP users worldwide, about 120 million in North America. This tsunami of change is coming, and April 2014 is less than a year away. Decisions are going to have to be made whether you're running a small, medium, or large business or involved in any, and they're going to have to be made in a timely fashion, because waiting to the last minute is not going to make anybody who runs an IT network as a director, as an owner, as an IT pro, happy to run a network without support. Now, we've also embedded an awful lot of functionality taking advantage of the PDF files, which came out in 2007 so that you could convert all different kinds of Office documents to PDF format, which of course is the Adobe product. You now can open a PDF file directly from Word, which gives you a few less clicks and a little more functionality and a little more savings of time. If you are working in Office, you've been using PDF probably to email documents to people, and that functionality has been enhanced. They've also enhanced Excel. And what's really kind of neat about Excel now is they've even built in tools to take advantage of metrics from Twitter. And the thing that's cool about that is they've got SQL involved, so it goes straight to a database, allowing you to analyze some of the analytics and some of the metrics that are coming from the use of Twitter and different social networks for your company. I think what they have done with Excel is ratcheted it up to a whole new level, because Excel is the spreadsheet of business. Whether you use it a little bit or not, there are people in your business who analyze it, who use it all the time, going to different kinds of charts, different kinds of diagrams to explain what happened, what is happening, what's going to happen. So when you think about Excel and know that you can open a document from an email, if you happen to be a subscriber to the Office 2013 suite through Office 365, that gives you an awful lot of functionality. The other thing that's nice is that you can do the same thing on a smartphone that has Windows products like a Windows Phone, and it gives you the opportunity to utilize Excel. In fact, I even had an opportunity to fix an Excel document for a customer on my Windows Phone while I was in an airport. And yes, I was able to fix their macro too by VPNing in and changing where the pointers were. What's nice about it is that the Windows-based products give you this capability even on a smartphone. Now, they've also built in things like Power View. You probably have seen this. What's nice about it is that it allows you to pinpoint. This is a functionality that I think is an outgrowth of the product that Microsoft has had called MapPoint. It's able to pinpoint where sales are, diagram them. It gives you a leg up on what's happening and where it's happening. In addition, they've built into all different parts of Office the social components, which keep growing more and more. Example would be, and these numbers just came out, in 1 minute on the web, 1 minute, there are over 660,000 updates on Facebook, 550,000 comments, and almost, not quite, 100,000 tweets in 60 seconds online. So social networking is not going away. If you combine that with news feeds from your company and small microblogs, you've really got capability in Outlook, which gives you the capacity to do things real time, understand comments, and being able to navigate your way through your business day. Now, for me, one of the nicest things about this is I'm able to understand what is taking place real time, because a lot of times the comprehension of events gets lost in mobility. You hear about it a long time after the fact, or you hear about a portion of it after the fact, and you're missing context. Today, more than ever, these communications built into the new Office really help in understanding what's going on around you and what you have to do as you go forward. I like the idea that they changed the way the contact card has been built. It also gives you the opportunity to look at the different people who are involved in Facebook or LinkedIn, and that, again, adds a whole new set of facets to how you're going to operate while you run your business day. Again, what I'm talking about is the use of Office in a business context. I will get questions from people that will say, well, will this help the student? Yes. Will it help someone who's at home, who is just keeping up with family? Absolutely. But in a business context, these are very powerful tools. Now combine this with some of the capability of our video conferencing in OneNote. And suddenly what you've got, because you know, when Microsoft bought Skype, they integrated Skype and Link together so that they could offer these capabilities while you're taking notes in OneNote. And I've used this, and it's an extremely effective tool because you can see who's online, you can talk to people online, you can take notes on OneNote anywhere on the page, you can keep track of comments, you can email it to them, and it automatically saves for you everything that you're doing. If you have recorded a particular conversation, you can attach that to a OneNote document. You can share notebooks because OneNote is a electronic notebook. What that means is suddenly you've got a group of capabilities, if you will, all roped together using the capabilities of different softwares, which is the reason why earlier I said OneNote is the glue that holds my business together. Now, I don't know how familiar everybody is with Link, but I've done migrations with it. And Link is the result of slimming down, taking the good things from Live Meeting, taking the things from Communicator, and banding it together with Skype. Skype being the voice over IP product that Microsoft bought a couple of years ago. It gives you the chance to federate with customers. It also gives you the opportunity to tell customers where you are, what you're doing, if you're available. That's what Presence is. Of course, instant messaging is involved, and you can do voice either computer to computer, or in the case of using a webcast like today, I'm on Skype and I'm on a headset. So you can see how flexible these two products are when banded together. Now for customers, you've got a couple of different ways to look here. First, I would do surveys, which I always do, on how people work, where they work, are they mobile, do they need certain functionality, and what do they use in getting their jobs done. Office 365 on the left is a subscription-based product that you buy based upon the number of users, and of course the Office product on the right is something we're familiar with because all of us have bought Office and installed it on our machines. You have suites, and you also have different product that you can buy on an as-needed basis. Now the variety is, I think, really mind-boggling because when you look at your target users, you can say, and the small business premium is getting used a lot for people that need certain components of Office or working on tablets, don't use Office a lot, they need their email, and they're on the fly, either in a warehouse, in a mobile situation where they're in the building, they're in a hospital, they're in online, they're in a carpet cleaning company, and they're always on the road. It is amazing how effective Office 365 has been for small and even mid-market business. And what's really cool is that some of the larger companies I've migrated looked at Office 365 and said, no, I don't think it'll work for us until we developed a hybrid where they could use the installed Outlook on the machines that they had already bought and attach it to Office 365 and the cloud to make it the best of both worlds. I think the offering is flexible enough and broad enough that there aren't any businesses that fall out of what's available. Now, when you look at services, don't forget that you've got SharePoint Online and Exchange Online and Link Online, and then Skype and SkyDrive. And a lot of small businesses look at SkyDrive and say, you know, for having 3 accounts, SkyDrive is like a personal SharePoint, and in many ways it is. And then finally, of course, you have at the bottom the variety of Office products, whether it be Standard or Plus or the Home Office or Professional 2013, that are available that you can buy and install in your machine if you're a heavy Office user and you prefer to have that and mobility is not part of your business today. The licensing models, I think, have been relatively well vetted. The nice thing that I think is about this is there's so much flexibility with Office 365 and per device that when you look at either the regular way to do it, that is to install it on your machines, or if you're using cloud, the new ways to do it and take advantage of an Office license, either an EA or a 365 license. You've got enough flexibility so that when you talk with Microsoft, it's not going to be something that sort of boxes you in. I like the opportunity of fitting these programs to business rather than forcing business to take either A or B, and that's all there is. Obviously, we're not going to go through this, but I will make this available, Jamie, and my whole presentation is. But the nice thing about the spreadsheet is, as you look across it, is you can see that based upon your business uses, you've got the capability to buy small pieces of those you need, the broad base of a whole suite, a standard offering or a plus offering, and you can do this with on-premise so that you don't have to buy something that you don't need. Also, the nice thing about it is you've got SkyDrive built into the Office 2013 offerings so that when you buy them, it is available, and you've got this as a web app, which really makes it easy for people to access their documents wherever they are. Pardon me. Now, the other thing about helping your customers choose, and I know that you have to really consider, you have to think about what applications are being used the most, what are the services I've got to have, and then what does that fit into my licensing program. You'll notice, if you look closely, that the small business premium, the home, the university, allows you to have multiple PCs, and at the same time gives you access to an awful lot of services. So if you happen to be a small business, you're not closed out to the idea, or if you will, forced to buy something that doesn't fit your need. And for me, this is a big step for Microsoft, and I think a very smart one. Just so everybody is clear, Office 365 came out a couple of years ago, which allowed people to get their email in a web portal. It is encrypted. It offers you Exchange and the Office products online. It offers you Lync and SharePoint. And this is something that is not installed on your machine. You access the portal, and all of these services are available depending on which subscription you take advantage of. The Office ProPlus, just so you know, it gives you the step up. So if your small or mid-market business has a lot of users, you can take advantage of a lot of different machines. Notice you get 5 installs per user on a PC or a Mac, and to me, that gives you the chance to use a desktop at work and a laptop that you take home to work, or a tablet or a pad. Also, remember that as you roam, your settings are used, and you will be absolutely able to use those settings regardless of what device you're on. The Home Premium, again, for families, and it is a non-commercial use. Small Business Premium, you can see that it's from 1 to 10 users. It's a very simple setup because, really, frankly, you're not installing anything. When you get involved in mid-sized business, again, from 10 to 250, you've got an awful lot of capability here built in, plus the admin portal. I think they've done a really good job of looking at what is mid-size, because a lot of times there was a gap in products previous to this, and the mid-size companies, and again, you could be a large small business and fit the mid-size profile here, but still consider yourself a small business, but it gives you a little more capability with the admin portal and the roaming and access features. So what have we got? What we have is simply 2 different ways to go and a lot of flexibility in each one. Finally, Microsoft has considered all the different needs and not just 2 or 3 buckets and said to the customer, this is all there is. You've got an Office installed local offering, you've got cloud offerings, and you've got the choice of what to do which is best for your company. And finally, if you are stuck or don't know which way to turn, you have terrific companies like PCM that can sit down with you over the phone or face-to-face and look at your needs and say, let's customize it for each user in your company so that in the end, they work more productively and they have access to the services that they need to grow your business. Never met anybody in business that opens or works in business to grow their business small. Everybody wants to grow their business to the next level. We have resources available, and in fact, if you're involved in any migrations, Jamie, I will be glad to send a link to you. There are some online free tools to check compatibility that Microsoft has in their Springboard series. I've used them regularly. They work very well, and it helps people when they start to make these changes to their hardware and their software to figure out, do they have a compatibility issue with peripherals, or do they have a compatibility issue that has been pushed to all of their machines that they can solve right now, because it will give you answers on how to do it as you move forward.
Is that
I appreciate it. That's all. Yes, we've reached the end. Let's talk questions.
All right. Thank you again, Alan. We'll now proceed to our live question and answer portion of today's presentation. If you have any questions, please send them in using the question and answer pane.
You know, Jamie, what happens a lot, and I want to make note of this, when you see a lot of information like we've just seen, a lot of times what happens is people will, unfortunately, not be able to come up with questions immediately. That doesn't mean you can't ask them. My suggestion would be this: digest what you've heard, and then in the next hours or days, if there are questions that were keyed or triggered, please feel free to send them in to Jamie. I am available. The last webinar I did, the last webcast I did, it took a whole day for people to look at their situation and ask questions about what they needed. And that's perfectly okay. And Jamie, you have my email. You certainly can contact me, and I am available to help in any way I can.
Okay.
Anything coming through that looks like we have to jump on right now?
I'm still waiting. Just give me
okay. Oh, sure. That's fine.
All right, Alan, I have a question here.
Go right ahead.
What if you are using Office 365 and you lose your internet connection? Do you have an offline version until you connect again?
If you have subscribed, is a really good question. If you have subscribed to Office 365 and you are getting these web apps and you lose your internet connection, you do not have on your machine a version of Office. It is only through the Office 365 portal that you're able to use these. Now, that's the risk or the downside to having a Office 365 version, so only. And a lot of companies, Jamie, what they are doing is they are making available to different users in their company the software that they use the most, so that if they're offline, for instance, they might make available 2 different machines in the office, or 3 different machines that have Word and Excel and PowerPoint, let's say, on it, and you save your documents both to the cloud, but also save a local copy. So if you lose your internet connection, you can pull the copy of the document that you've saved, go to a different machine, and finish whatever you were working on. So it gives you the best of both worlds.
Okay, I have another one here, Alan.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you clarify Office 365 access from iPad or Android tablets?
Yes, I mean, that's actually a good question. Office 365 is a web portal, and you log on. Example would be webmail at yourcompanyname.com. And when you log on, you are in the Office 365 portal, and depending on your subscription, you can use it with a Droid or with an iPad. Now, let's talk a little bit about both of those different devices and be very careful about the Office offering. There are versions, everybody knows this, there are versions of Office that are available for Apple products, and there are versions of Office that are available for Droids. From my experience, having used these different devices, what I have seen is that both of the versions that are available, one for the pad and one for Droid, are not the full version of Office. They give you the ability to open the document, they give you the ability to read it, but they don't give you the ability, just like on the iPhone, Jamie, to modify it in any way. So you can know what's in it, you can see what's in it, but those versions have not been distributed. I haven't seen anything, and I will be glad to make a note and double check this for you on the Droid and the iPad as far as the capability of Office on a Windows device. Okay?
Okay.
I'm making a note now, so I double check those. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Another one, how does Office 365 handle files that are shared with multiple people? Are the Office documents saved in the cloud, or can they be saved to a local file server?
The answer is, first, the latter part, can they be saved to a local file server? Yes. Secondly, if they're saved on SharePoint, it's all about permissions, and as long as someone has permission to it, it would be the same as a full version of SharePoint, because it is. And thirdly, I always suggest to people that are saving extremely important or confidential or proprietary documents, let's say that, to say always save a version to a local server. In a sense, you can take advantage of what's on the Office 365 site using SharePoint, but at the same time, save a version behind your own firewall as a precaution or even a backup. And that's a hybrid, just so you know, and it works very well.
All right. Another one here, can they upgrade Outlook 2003 PST to Outlook 203?
Wait, ask that again. Can they upgrade Office 2003, excuse me, Outlook, I misheard you. 2003 to, what was the second version?
It says here Outlook 203, but let me clarify this one.
They must mean 2013. Because it sounds like, yeah. And the answer is yes. PST files can be opened, of course, with the new Office products, a new Outlook product, and the conversion that you are envisioning is a very simple and easy one. It's not difficult to do at all. In fact, when you open it, it will actually pop a window up that says, do you want to convert this to the new PST component? And what I usually tell people is, save a version of PST from the original version of Office, make a copy, and convert the copy. You have the best of both worlds there.
Okay. Another question here.
Go ahead.
Give me a moment. Okay, here's another one.
All right.
They say here he's still a little unclear. If they buy an Office 2013, does it include Office 365?
If you buy a local version of, I assume that's what they mean, does it include it? Office 365 is a separate product. It is not included in Office 2013 for a local install.
Mm-hmm. And what version or versions of Outlook offer the ability to view the online archive from within Outlook?
Wait a minute. Read that question again to me. What version of Outlook
offer the ability to view? Okay, let me repeat that. What version of Outlook offer? I'm sorry. Let me repeat it. What version of Outlook offer the ability to view the online archive from within Outlook?
Outlook 2010 does, and Outlook 2013 does. I think I understand what they're asking. If I have Outlook 2010 on my local machine, can I look at the online Outlook archive through Office 365? The answer is yes. Both of those versions, 2010 and 2013, do.
All right.
Okay.
Here's another one. If they have an Office 365 and they want to save to their desktop, do they have to install something?
No. Here's the thing, okay? If you've got ability to the Office suite through Office 365, you've got the right subscription, and you want to hang on to, let's say, a Word document or an Excel file and put it on your local machine, File, Save As, find the location. In this case, it would be your desktop or your local hard drive, or even an external hard drive if you wanted to.
Okay. And can they save files through Office 2013 to other cloud services like Dropbox or Google Documents?
Read that to me one more time.
Okay. Can they save files through Office 2013 to other cloud services like Dropbox or Google Documents?
Yes, and I do it all the time. I use Dropbox all the time. It's not a hard thing to do. You just upload it like you normally would. And in this particular case, of course, it would be an Office 2013 document, but you can share it, invite people to download it. Perfectly okay, not a problem.
Okay. And here, what if you were using Office 365 and you lose your internet connection? Do you have an offline version until you connect again?
Generally, when you're on Office 365 and you are, I guess, in a Word document or Excel and you lose your connection, the data centers save the last moment. There's a built-in save, but there isn't anything else that is on your machine. You are using either a tablet, a pad, or a laptop for that matter through Office 365, and if the connection goes down, you've lost your document. There's no outline version. There isn't anything else that is available. Now, if you've got, and as I say this to people all the time, when you're working on something that is a unique, creative document, I suggest you save it two places, in the cloud and to your local machine, so at least you have the ability to put it on a thumb drive and take it to another machine. Because remember, a lot of offices have a lot of different versions of Office, Jamie. They might have 2007 and 2010, and you can take that version to another machine if you happen to lose your internet connection for a very long time, and you certainly can open it. You might lose a little bit of the format, but for the most part, 07 and 10 does open 2013 documents, and that would be the way that you would get around the loss of the internet connection.
Okay. All right, another one here. SharePoint and Office 365. How will companies differentiate themselves on the web when all templates are the same?
Wait. Say that one more time. How,
okay.
Considering Office and SharePoint, I heard that. What was the last part? How do companies
differentiate themselves on the web when all templates are the same?
Oh, I understand what you mean. When you are building I'm assuming you're talking about an external website. What a lot of people will do with external websites, remember that SharePoint is a product that was built for an internal website, not external, for internal. So your website could give people access based on permissions to, or you could in fact just log on to a VPN. But an internal website, the world doesn't see an internal website. The world sees your external website, and you can create anything for that. That's perfectly okay. What I usually tell people who are embracing, and I've rolled a lot of SharePoint out, a lot of SharePoint 2010 and 2007, is this. Your company using an internal website like SharePoint, it gives you basic templates, but you can modify them in a zillion different ways. The difference is this. SharePoint is an internal website. It is for your company and anybody that you deem access or give access to, but it is not a general website to the world. Your website external, you can create anything you need to differentiate yourself. And what I was going to say, Jamie, this person, if they want to have an offline discussion so that I can go into a little more depth, I'd be glad to do so.
Okay. And can they upgrade Outlook 2003 PST to Outlook 203? Yes, 213.
Yes. Actually,
okay.
when you're using the word upgrade, and what happens is if you buy 2013 or 2013, you open any previous version, it will ask you if you want to convert it to the new PST format.
Okay.
You don't have to. You can, as I said earlier, you can make a copy of it and convert a copy. I generally tell companies who I work with all over the country the following. If you have, there's a compliance issue here, okay? And that's what I think the person may be even getting at. Email today is being demanded. People are demanding, and government and tax people and all different kinds of legal demands are on email today that weren't 10 years ago. So if you keep email in the original format, in this case, let's say 2003, you can keep the original PST file for everybody's email, and you can store it. You can then make a copy of that PST file and open it up in 2007, 10, or 13 and convert it to the new version. But the original version that you have, if you have 20 people in your company, you could have those 20 PST files that you've archived sitting on an external hard drive in a firebox in case there ever gets to be a legal or a compliance issue. And I've done that a lot with companies.
All right. And is the number of users for 365 based on concurrent users or individual users or licenses?
Well, it's individual users, not machines. So, for instance, you might have 5 machines that have Office installed on it or 365, but you might have 7 users. Because, I know that a lot of people when they hear that say, well, wait a minute, Alan, what did you mean? Well, I'll give you an example. You might have somebody who works on the shop floor or works in your production studio that logs on to check their email twice a day. The rest of their work is done on a completely different set of machines. I see this a lot in production houses where you've got people in an office who are on all day long, 3 people who are always on, and then you've got people that are working on a production floor that need to check their email at 10, 2, and 4. So you have 6 users, but you only have 5 machines. And that happens a lot, and that's how it's structured.
Okay. And will Office 365 work with Windows 7?
It works with it very well. As a matter of fact, the machine, just so you know, the machine that you've been looking at with my production is a Windows 7 machine, and I'm running Office 2013.
Great.
And Windows 8 also, just so you know.
Another one here, if I buy, or if they would buy an Office 365, can they still install programs locally, like on their desktop computer, while having the programs available for mobile devices?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. The scenario that this person is asking about is this. They want to take advantage of Office 365 email as an agent. They don't want to use any web apps. They just want the Office 365 portal. They get their email. But they use a lot of Excel and Word on their local machine. So, and they have Outlook installed. So what you do is let them buy a license to Office 365. They get their email. But they are using installed Office products on their local machine. And yes, you can do it. And yes, it makes a great deal of sense if you're a very heavy user in certain softwares. Yep.
All right. I'm waiting for more questions to come in. Just give me a moment.
Well, and Jamie, just so you know, these great questions, and there'll be more. And even when we ring off and we're finished, there will still be more. So I don't want anybody to think the end of the webcast, you can't ask any more questions. I know Jamie's available, I am too. And sometimes what happens, as I said earlier, is you start to think a little bit about how does your team, how does your company, how the people that you work with, and it may even be a virtual team where you've got 3 offices, one in Denver, one in Chicago, and one in Omaha. In fact, I just did a migration for a company in those 3 areas. And it took them a while. We had to really talk about how people worked, what they needed, how they wanted to perform. And what was cool about it was we had 3 or 4 different iterations of how to use Office. And each office, where their location was, had a slightly different version of what their licensing was. But in the end, they got what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've exhausted them, Jamie.
Okay. And I think that's about all the time that we have. Should you have additional questions, you can send them in offline and they'll be addressed and answered throughout the on-demand email. Also, I would like to thank Alan. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.